Hey guys, and welcome back to the Final Fantasy playthrough. 3 out of the 4 crystals are now lit. I know this game is actually starting to pick up on pace since we got the Earth crystal lit, but now we're going to slow it down because we actually have to do a lot of things in order to get the Wind and Final crystal lit. The first one being we have to collect some random items that are scattered across the map. The first one is going to be north of here. There are some people that were talking in town that mention either a shooting star or something resembling that fell from the sky and landed near the volcano or near the waterfall north of here.
Okay.
That's probably a part that a lot of people miss. Like even in the remakes, this part seems to be a bit too obscure for some people, but just you got your canoe, you should at least explore around with it. And find this hidden dungeon right here in the waterfall.
I thought we were going to go like up it. I didn't think we had the HM for that.
Oh, that would have been badass, but no, it's just a random cave hidden behind there. There's not that many powerful enemies, there's just some annoying bats. The big deal is just the fact that it loops. It's really weird, this dungeon is very similar to a Sonic level map, that you'll end up looping north and south of it. But
are you trying to bring me into this commentary more by mentioning Sonic? It does not work that way, my friend.
What if I were to tell you that Entom goes fast, like the speed of sound, through rainbows and such?
Now you have my attention. These things look like Talon Flames.
Be glad that they don't have Gale Wind.
Ooh.
Or Gale Wing, whatever. It's Smogon Bird, alright guys? You know what it does, and you know that it pisses you right the fuck off.
It's also Captain Falcon's mascot.
Huh. So it is. But I know a lot of people are like, where are all the cockatrices? Everyone says they're so bad. I want to see some cockatrices. Well, there you go. There's Perilisks. They're fire-based cockatrices that are still weak to lightning and will go down to lightning spells.
Well, if a bird doesn't get its wings clipped by electricity, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed.
What if you try to punch a bird?
Doesn't work.
It does not. Pokemon has taught many a generation of children the logic of punching a bird. The only difficult part about this dungeon is that there's a lot of branching paths, but they will end in dead ends really quickly, so you shouldn't spend too much time in here. You'll eventually find this one room with all these chests.
Oh Jesus, it's a smorgasbord of fuckers.
9 enemies is the maximum you will see in an encounter. Enemies will come in different sizes. You'll notice that it's actually very geometrical with the battle screen. 9 small enemies is the max, 9 being this size. Medium will tend to be like the ogres, which the max for those is 4. And then bosses 1.
Yeah.
And then you have one boss that fills up the entire screen.
I'm hoping that's the final boss, otherwise I'll feel a little bit let down.
Yes, we'll just put that out there. It is the final boss.
Okay, have we encountered the mummies before?
I believe we did back in Marsh Cave, but they were super easy. Like, even in the Marsh Cave, they were the enemies that you wanted to encounter because they were just that easy and you could take them down, just like the skeletons.
Are you sure you're not thinking of, like, the ghosts or the ghouls or the geists? Something beginning with G?
I'd rather fight the skeletons and mummies than fight the guys, because those motherfuckers will paralyze you quick.
Oh, yes, they will.
Oh man, look at Richie and Cardo getting all that intelligence. That means absolutely nothing.
Wow, you really did, like, level up in between parts, didn't you?
Not too much, actually. Most of the leveling up was done with money in mind. Like, I had to do a couple battles for the money, and then obviously the levels came along with that. But honestly, I could beat the final boss with the levels I'm at right now.
Oh sweet, the Cosmic Cube.
The Infinity Cube that we got from a robot? It's not all that obvious, but yeah, that's a fucking robot in Final Fantasy. Brace yourselves, guys. This game's about to get hella sci-fi right now.
I thought you were going to say hella stupid for a second.
No, Final Fantasy doesn't get stupid at any point. No, not even with the twist, I know what you're thinking. But it's about to get really, really sci-fi, especially the NES version. They tone it down in Remix to make it a lot more, medieval fantasy.
Like high fantasy instead of, like, sci-fi fantasy.
Exactly. But the robot is your first indication that we're in for some crazy shit.
And away we go.
And I like how we mentioned the floating continent. That is obviously your first big hint at where we're heading to next. But first, Melman for spells.
This is such a dumb sounding name.
Melman? It sounds like a person's name. It's like they tried to do what Zelda did, where it's like, man, we named our towns very similar to people names. But, we're gonna actually retrograde that and make it that the towns are named after the people.
Bow before Ramses.
Not Ramses, Dr. Oon, which I believe is supposed to have, like, at least 5 German letters in there to make it sound correct. But he's just a guy who is fluent in the Lufenian language. I know it's a different name in this version, but it's actually properly translated to Lufenian.
Man, that poor boat. We used it for like half an hour and then never again.
Hey, that was the best boat. It came with the best music in the game accompanying it. Well, not quite the best, but some of the best.
Is that in the desert we passed the Mirage Tower?
Yes, I do like how you can see it at all times, and you can actually go up to it right now, but you won't be able to enter it just yet.
So it's like the Sky Pillar in Pokemon then?
Pretty much, yeah. We're going to need, obviously, that cube, but we need something to enter the tower itself. Now, we're near the last new town in the game. We're fighting these zombies. The map is actually divided into huge-ass squares. And the thing is that the square that encompasses this area of the map, including the final town, actually overlaps with a couple of the tiles back near Provoca, which was the town where the pirates were at. So you can actually encounter enemies from this point in the game all the way back at the beginning of the game before you even got the boat. It's achieved meme status at this point. It's called the Peninsula of Power. And it's really good for getting early levels and early money if you can survive, because you're fighting enemies from this point in the game, all the way before you've even gotten the boat.
Is this a town of monks or something, or are they just all draped in towels?
They're draped in towels, and I believe they're supposed to have, like, headbands. These are the Lufenians. They're supposed to be descendants of an ancient sky race. And for people who have played Final Fantasy, you know that every Final Fantasy has an accompanying Cid character who's either a pilot or an engineer or just, a general badass.
Or a woman.
Or woman lately now, yeah. But there's no Cid in original Final Fantasy, unless you play Remix. And then you find that there was a Lufenian named Cid, who becomes a major character in the Dissidia games. Cid the Lufenian actually pretty much put the entire plot of Dissidia into motion. I mean, he's the one who made the deal with Shoryu to have the Eternal War, and it's not until a duodecim that you find out that he's actually the Great Will, which is kind of a dick move, because in original Dissidia, the player character is meant to feel like they're the Great Will. Then duodecim comes along and is like, nah, it's actually this Moogle. It's Cid. He's the Great Will. Fuck you.
Mate, we're just the crystal collectors in that game, which suits me fine. I love collecting shiny trinkets.
Yeah, trinkets are always the best, especially since that's the basis of these games. Mm-hmm. This is just one jewel hunting mission. Like, once again, Sonic Adventure 2, the Rouge levels are actually an obscure remake of Final Fantasy. And you need to talk to that one Lufenian because he will give you the chimes, which we will need to enter the Mirage Tower.
Oh, the Sonic Adventure 2 Knuckles and Rouge levels. That fucking Emerald Radar. You know what, I could go on forever, but this is Final Fantasy, not Sonic, so I apologise.
Now, all the way off into the distance, these two shops, that's where you will get the final level White Mage and Black Mage spells. Which I know the first time I played the game, I actually completely missed out. I have all the spells all the way up to level 7, but I could not find the level 8 spells. They're there. You just have to walk all the way out into the middle of the grass.
Well, the thing is, you couldn't... It looked like if you kept walking, you just hit the boundary and, exit town. But for some reason, no. And if you kept walking a bit more, you could obviously see where the town wrapped around. So you'd think you could just go back in there, but there's the level border. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, contextually.
Yeah, once again, wrapping levels. The previous dungeon that we were in that had the robot, that had a wrapping level. This has a wrapping map. Pretty much all the games will have these wrapping maps. It's just some of them are built in a way that you don't see it.
Yeah.
But if you manage to find those magic shops, you can get the Flare spell for your Black Mage, which will inflict non-elemental damage to all enemies, and it will actually ignore certain bosses' magical defense.
Bitchin'.
You can also get Stop, Kill, and Warp.
My favorite spells.
Yeah, Kill, I mean, it's the best. Whereas with your White Mage, you can get Holy, which will inflict non-elemental damage. Later in the series, Holy becomes its own element, and it tends to be like some of the best white magic spells. But you'll also get Full Life, which you can use to revive and fully restore the HP of a fallen party member. Again, NES version, you can't use it in battle, so it's more useful in later versions.
The full life consequences, if you will.
If you will, yeah. And of course, we're entering a dungeon. I'm gonna save. I bought all my items. You have to get prepared for dungeons. They're not just the next dirt path you have to walk through. They're an obstacle that you have to prepare, plan, and, get ready for.
It's more of a boss than the boss itself, if you think about it.
At this point, yes. Especially with the NES version when the bosses have so little HP, and, if you actually have physical attackers doing massive amounts of damage.
Dude, look out for the bad men.
They're so bad! These bad men are doing such bad things in the Mirage Tower with their nightmare. It's, oh my god, it's the Tom dungeon all over again.
Yep.
Just hit him. And Tom, hit the Tom puns.
No problem. That's some great sprite design, though.
I do like the bad men. I like how they got little horns, they got shield swords. They did so much good work on the graphical fidelity, and I do like how that would become Squaresoft's staple. Like, that's what you could guarantee you were gonna get when you played at least a Squaresoft RPG, and even a Square Enix RPG. It was gonna look fucking gorgeous, and your eyes were going to cry from how beautiful it looks. But then you would actually play the game, and then that's where the debate would come up.
Yeah.
Some better than others, some better than what others say.
Man, you're just drowning in guilt at this point.
At this point, yeah, it's kind of funny just how much the money crunch was, and then after a certain point, it really is lighting the Earth Crystal. The game just becomes so much easy. It's really awkward to explain to people when they're like, Final Fantasy is a hard game, I only got this far, and it's like, dude, just do a little bit more and the game actually becomes super easy. Because no one believes you, because they think, well, yeah, any game gets easier the more you play it, but with Final Fantasy, the difficulty really is in the first quarter of the game. After that point, your characters, even without trying, become super OP, like battle gods.
It took me a minute to take in what these things were, because it was just like a whole friggin' mess of sprites.
They went really detailed, sometimes at the consequence of the graphical fidelity of the sprites, but the names alone.
That's what a chimera is, it's a whole mess of things.
Once again, enemies are getting a lot harder. They're also going to be inflicting a lot more party hitting attacks, but if you picked up the heal rod, or if you're playing later versions and you stock up on MP and MP healing items, use your heal spell. Cure spells, no matter what level, are individual targeting. Like, even the max level cure will only heal one person. If you have a white mage, you get heal, which will allow you to heal everybody, or giving someone the heal staff.
Yeah. You just haven't got time to do it individually at this stage of the game, really.
Not at all, and like I said, this is the reason why red mages they're the only choice you should pick when it comes to a mage in the original NES version. In later versions, you can argue that the heal spell, being a white mage exclusive spell, automatically makes it the best healer, which, yes, I agree, but when a red mage can cast heal infinitely just as well, there's no point.
Yeah.
Plus, if need be, Richie can whip out his sword and stab things to death.
Yeah.
But he will not, because he is a gentle, life-giving god.
Yeah, he is the most adorable member of HFC.
Agreed.
Is this like a server room?
No, but the whole dungeon is very circular. I do like how they're actually trying to give the tower a sense of, like, spiral ascension. But, it's very hard to do with the NES limitations, but instead they just actually made most of these floors one big circle and forced you to go counter or actual clockwise to go up.
No, I didn't say circular, I said server, because the walls look like friggin' computers.
I think they're supposed to be tablets. We're not sci-fi just yet. Yeah, we had a robot, and yeah, we're going up a tower, but you'll see, next part, I swear to God, this game stops becoming Final Fantasy and becomes Final Sci-Fi.
I noticed we also picked up Mjolnir back there, or Mjolnir to pronounce it correctly.
That is actually it. Yeah, I'm so glad that you didn't just call it Thor. That's just what they had to call it with the name limitations. That's another item that you can use to cast spells.
Nice.
You can use that to also cast lightning too.
Is that a spike tile?
That is a spike tile. You have to fight a blue dragon before you can actually exit the tower. Watch out, if you get blue D, it eventually becomes a red D, and then it just falls off, and now you got zombie D. But I had to cast A-Lit because the blue dragon is infamous for casting multi-hit lightning spells, but thankfully, he decided to be nice and just attack his fellow dragon with his claws. But again, an easy boss, a boss that I believe can also have multiple enemies, depending on how lucky or unlucky you get, but, fighting one blue dragon, pretty easy.
Oh, like the wizards.
Exactly, a lot of the bosses are like that, a lot of the D bosses. But yeah, that thunder is why I cast A-Lit, because you saw it did 70 damage alone.
You wrecked his shit.
That's all thanks to the fucked up critical hit rates. And we gotta organize some equipment. Gotta give Tom that sun sword so that he can, incinerate everything with the power of the sun. You are literally slashing enemies with Sunny D. I hope you're happy.
It's both delicious and super satisfying, much like Sunny D in general. I'll have to think about this. We'll see you all next time. Bye bye.